Hello everyone. So the market gapped up, right? In yesterday's YouTube video, I said it was a textbook long right here. I said it was a textbook long. I went in detail about why I thought the market was going to bounce because we closed so bullishly. And then this morning, we reaped the benefits. So I posted all of these plays completely for free on my Twitter. And overnight, these are all swings. Microsoft actually went up 75%, QQQ 75%, IWM 50%, Nvidia 40%, and Visa was 30%. So all of these plays worked out beautifully. In today's video, we're going to go over what we go over every single day. We're going to go over the SPY, the NASDAQ, the IWM. We're going to go over crude oil, the 30-year bond, and then, of course, the crypto market. So without further ado, let's get started with the video. So number one, this morning at 8:30 a.m. we were going to get CPI numbers, and essentially everyone thought that the CPI numbers were going to be very bearish, blah blah blah. But looking at the chart, purely looking at the chart, what I saw yesterday was that the SPY closed above two major levels of resistance. I went in detail explaining how the NASDAQ closed bullishly, how the IWM closed bullishly, and how the 30-year bond looked bullish as well. So regardless, so I held all of those plays that you saw, all of these plays I held overnight, and I said regardless of whether or not we have negative CPI numbers, the setup, just the technical setup that we have here is not to be ignored. Like, you have to take longs when you see setups like this. So they worked out beautifully, right? So now moving forward, what can the market do? All right. Oh, sorry. And before I continue on with the video, I have to be transparent. I posted 3 different cheap, safe, light long plays. None of them worked, right? Because essentially I wanted to play with the profits that we got in the morning and try to roll the profits in, thinking that we would continue on going higher. But none of them worked. So what we did instead was essentially right here, we bought the dips in the market when the market came back and retested the support. So then intraday, these went up 30%. And now I am swinging the rest of my runner positions on these. So overall, we made, I think, 7 wins and 3 losses, I think, right? But then those losses were literally just playing with the profits that we got. So anyway, number one, the SPY, right? The SPY came back and retested this level of support absolutely beautifully, right? You can see it came back and retested 468.96 right here. Literally touched it 2 cents away, 2 cents away from this level. So we closed above this level, and we also closed above the 20 exponential moving average once more, right? And essentially that's bullish. We had a huge gap up in the pre-market. It's not as if this gap up essentially happened like at night and then a little bit happened in the pre-market. It literally all happened from 8:30 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. And we ended up, moving higher into the day. And then, there was obviously going to be a sell-off. So that's why essentially I was going very, very light on the calls. But we can see now that the SPY came back and retested this level of resistance perfectly as well. So the 23.6% fib, literally the same levels that we've been monitoring. I haven't changed anything. So today it went to a high of 473.20, 3 cents away. So guys, this is literally something that you have to be aware of and you have to keep monitoring. These fib levels are extremely important. Okay. So number one, I still think that the SPY is very, very bullish. Sorry, not very bullish, but at least heading into tomorrow, I believe it's bullish because number one, the MACD is still oversold. We're holding these levels of resistance, continuing to go on higher, and the MACD is still oversold. So that's a very, very good sign. Number two, the RSI is stagnant while we're moving upwards. So that is another good sign. So we have multiple reasons why the SPY is still currently bullish. Okay, so that is a very, very bullish sign overall for the entire market. Now, when you look at crude oil is crude oil in one day. Yesterday we were down here making this video. So now today we're literally at this level of resistance I was saying that needed to be reclaimed on crude oil. So this is still very, very bullish. We have not even touched outside of the upper level of the B band yet on crude oil here. The RSI is now almost overbought, and the MACD is now starting to show a bit of overbought as well. So overall, crude oil can still continue going on higher, and that should be very, very good for the SPY because crude oil has a decent weight in the S&P 500. So energy and oil related stocks. So yeah, overall, I think that the SPY is bullish for those reasons. So now let's go ahead and take a look at the IWM. All right, for the IWM, obviously you can see that we closed, we came and retested this 20 exponential moving average. You know, we came and failed to hold above this 218.11 level, and we failed to hold this 217.19 level. So I'm not entirely sure what the hell's going on with the IWM. Maybe I think it's because the NASDAQ and the SPY have had a very, very red days as well. So the majority of money is going to go back into buying those dips before money is funneled into the IWM. So I think that's currently what's happening. Investors are more, you know, likely to put their money into safer, better companies, whereas the IWM is not as safe. And obviously it's the Russell 2000. The quality of companies are not as high as they are in the NASDAQ 100 or in the S&P 500. So that's why I don't see, you know, there isn't as much strength in the IWM currently. But now moving forward, regardless, the IWM's MACD is still flat. It's basically very, very overbought still. And there's still more room to the upside. So it's not all lost. There's still potential room to the upside. These same levels are still levels of resistance. And then, of course, you know, today's high is still going to be a level of resistance as well. It's a good sign that the RSI is now falling, right? You can see the RSI is falling. That sensitivity is good. We want to see that sensitivity. If after a red day, the RSI was still stagnant and it was a straight line, that would be very bullish, or that would be very, very bearish, because that would essentially mean after a huge red day, what we want to see is the RSI to move down like this, okay? Even if it's slightly, we want to see the RSI move down like this and show the sensitivity. If it was flat and the IWM still had this move, that is very scary, because that would mean that there's still much more room to the downside to make this RSI line start to fall, okay? So now the fact that we see this RSI showing sensitivity and falling as the price is also falling, that is a good sign. So yes, today the price action did not show that, but overall, I still think the IWM can still begin to bounce, really. You know, we held these levels of support still, like, you know, this very, very important level of support here, 215.50, and essentially we closed at 216. So overall, you know, doesn't look great, but the IWM still has more room to go to the upside. The MACD is oversold, and we held these levels of support. So there's my analysis on the IWM. Next, we should definitely take a look at the 30-year bond and the other large tech companies, and of course the NASDAQ. All right, so here is the 30-year bond. And of course, when the 30-year bond is bullish and it's going up, then the NASDAQ is also bullish and it goes up. So currently, it closed yesterday above a very, very important level of resistance, right? It's holding this level of resistance or support now today as well, right? And this was a very, very bullish sign for the NASDAQ. The other things that we have to watch right now is that the 30-year bond is now basically crossing above on the MACD. That's not the most bullish sign, because we're essentially not really crossing above any major levels of resistance yet. We're still basically trading around this level of support. So that is a bit worrisome, okay? The other thing is that the RSI is sort of stagnant while we're going up. So that is bullish, because when the RSI is not as sensitive to the upside and it's not showing as much strength in the RSI compared to what was happening in the movement of the, you know, bond itself, That's a good thing. So right now, the RSI is a bit more bullish. The MACD, yes, it crossed above. It should be a bullish thing, but the price action is not showing this same momentum. So that is a bit worrisome, okay? So in my opinion, if the 30-year bond goes back and falls below this level, it won't be good for the indices. What we want to continue seeing is the 30-year bond continuing to go higher and holding these levels of support, okay? So that's really what we need to watch. The 30-year bond, you know, not showing the most strength, and that's the only issue that I see right now for the, you know, the NASDAQ here. Next, let's go ahead and take a look at the large tech stocks to see a further strength in the NASDAQ 100, the QQQ. All right, so Apple, all right? This was a level that we bounced off of. The MACD is still oversold, and the RSI is flat, even though, oops, sorry. The RSI is flat. What is happening? The RSI is flat, even though we moved up in price. So that is a very, very bullish sign. It means that Apple is still showing tons of strength. We held this level of resistance. Sorry, we held this level of support, which was the high of yesterday's candle. And essentially, we closed at the 20 exponential moving average. So all in all, this is essentially telling us that there's still more room to the upside on Apple. All right. Now looking at Microsoft. Microsoft held this very important level of support as well today. Also oversold on the MACD. And the RSI is barely moving upwards, even though we gapped up today on Microsoft. So the next major level of resistances on Microsoft are up here, basically close to the 20 exponential moving average. So that basically still shows that there's more room to the upside on Microsoft and on Apple so far, right? Google. Same concept. We gapped up like crazy. We held this level of support, and we've had 3 days of strong movement here, and there's still more room to the upside to the 20 exponential moving average, and the MACD just now crossed above. Very similar to the 30-year bond, but Google is showing much more strength, obviously, than what the 30-year bond is currently doing, right? So that is bullish for the NASDAQ. That Google is this bullish as well. And then Amazon, you know, it doesn't look as good. It failed basically perfectly at this level of resistance here at 3,338. But the MACD is still not yet crossed above, which means that there's still more room to the upside. And, you know, the RSI is not really telling us much here. But overall, for the other three large tech stocks, it still shows that there's still potential room to the upside for the NASDAQ. And for the 30-year bond, you know, there's still a bit more room to the upside for the 30-year bond as well. And especially because today, a very, very important, you know, something that we were looking for was bullish. I think that the market can continue going on higher, but I'm not as heavily convinced that we are. That's why I was just holding a few contracts overnight, but I'm still overall bullish. You have to be. So there's my analysis for all of those things. Now, this is essentially really why I am still bullish on the market. So the NASDAQ, we came back and we retested this 384.84 level. We came back and essentially came back and retested this trend line as well. So this is really where I signaled these dip buys, because we came back and retested this level of support. And, you know, down here, people were starting to want to buy into puts. But overall, we're still very, very bullish. This MACD is still not crossed above yet. It's still moving upwards. There's still more room to the upside, at least another day or two. So it might cross above tomorrow. So, you know, there's still more room to the upside in the MACD. The RSI is barely moving upwards here, which is a very, very good sign here. You can see, even though we gapped up. So those two things are still very, very bullish. Holding these two major levels of support is also very, very bullish on the NASDAQ. So that's why I think we can still push on above this 389.40 level tomorrow, and you know, come back and retest potentially the 392 level and then the 393 level. Of course, I can be wrong, but then, you know, the level that would need to hold as support, a very, very important level of support. You can see it's literally touching it intersects perfectly, which is the 384.84 level. Tomorrow literally needs to hold as support. But you know, hopefully the NASDAQ does not close anywhere near here, because I think that would be a bit more bearish. So essentially, the NASDAQ overnight, I still think has more room to the upside. The MACD shows that. The RSI barely moving upwards shows that, you know, there's no sensitivity here. If the RSI was sensitive and it moved upwards, right, a bit more aggressively, this would not be as bullish of a move here. And I would be a bit more worrisome holding swings overnight. But currently, you know, there's still multiple reasons to be bullish overall in the stock market. And right now, we just have to take it one day at a time. And yeah, currently I'm holding on to swings overnight. I'm bullish. So yeah, there's my analysis on the overall stock market. We had an amazing day today. And we're just going to continue having amazing days. Literally, it's the third day of the second week of the trading year. And I heavily doubt anyone that is following my trades is red. It would be close to impossible. So definitely, you know, follow me on Twitter. I post all my plays there completely for free. Yeah, also, let's go ahead and take a look at the crypto markets. So Bitcoin is basically doing what I said it would. We came back and retested these levels of resistances here, right? This trend line basically, it failed here, and this trend line, it failed here as well. So now this is, I mean, Bitcoin, you know, this was a really good bottom, okay? 40,000, 39,600. These are really good buying opportunities. But what I don't like is the fact that this MACD is very overbought now, but we're at levels of resistance. Okay, what I would have wanted to see is Bitcoin trading above these levels of resistance, and then the MACD looking like this. But the fact that the MACD is overbought, yet Bitcoin's price is not yet crossed above 44 or 45,000, that's not the best sign, right? Overall, long term, these levels are still good, but this MACD is still worrisome to me. And the fact that this RSI is, you know, very sensitive. You can see that it was 30.42, and today it's 41. So what was the price here? So now if we look at this price here, we closed at, what was this? 41,824. So 41,824, and currently it's at 43,879. So that's a $2,000 move, but the RSI moved up 10, essentially. Okay, so for the RSI to now become overbought, the RSI has to be 70, right? So if we're going up for every 10 points on the RSI, we're only moving $2,000. If we keep on moving at this trajectory, then what? We have another 40, 50, 60, 70. We have $6,000 more dollars until the RSI becomes overbought on Bitcoin. And that's not bullish, because, you know, $6,000 more would only be barely at 50,000. So why would we want to be overbought on the, you know, why would we want to be overbought on Bitcoin if we didn't even cross above 50,000, right? So this is not like this MACD weakness, you know, sensitivity, and this RSI sensitivity are not the most bullish things right now for Bitcoin. And that is currently the reason why I was saying that I think we fail at 44, 45,000 and come back and, you know, retest down at these levels. Of course, I can be completely wrong, but just looking at the technical indicators, that's what it looks like to me right now. Hopefully I'm wrong. I don't really mind being wrong, because I hope the entire market pumps even higher. But my greed, I would love to buy more crypto below 40,000, like comfortably below, you know, even 38,000. Currently, these indicators are showing that there is some sort of weakness. All right, so let's go ahead and take a look at Ethereum now. So Ethereum showing way more strength than Bitcoin. So Ethereum is obviously not as overbought on the MACD. There's still more room to go to the upside. Similar situation with the RSI on Ethereum. Not the most bullish scenario here for this, right? Obviously. and we are not yet above this downtrend line. So we still need to cross above this downtrend line, as well as this fib level at 3371. So these two levels still need to close above. A safe place for Ethereum to essentially close above would be above 3500. But then, you know, it really all depends on what Bitcoin is going to end up doing. Bitcoin needs to close comfortably above 46,000. Ethereum needs to comfortably close above 3,600. And then we can start going somewhere. All right. But right now, it still looks like there still might be some chop, still might be some more room to the downside. But essentially, what's probably going to end up happening on Ethereum is we're going to bounce out of this trend line, hit levels of resistance, and then come back and retest this trend line. And then from here, it'll be very, very important to see what we do. All right. So we're just taking it one day at a time overall in the markets, right? I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Please make sure to, you know, if you guys enjoy the content, make sure to subscribe, like, comment, do all that good stuff. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Thank you.